The Nintendo DS was jam-packed with over 2,000 games in its library, and there were many famous ones such as New Super Mario Bros. Or Nintendogs. However, there's one hidden gem that I hear absolutely no one talking about for some reason, and you can only find old videos of it from like 9 years ago. This is Tetris DS, one of the installments in the Tetris series. This was an extremely great game that released in 2006, and in this video we're going to talk about what made it so great. Alright, enough talk, let's get into it. Unlike most of the other games in the Tetris series, this game directly collaborated with Nintendo, specifically with characters from the NES era. It gives this game a very fun charm in my opinion, because you always see characters such as Mario, Zelda, Samus, and even the Ice Climbers, and more. They're on the title screen, the menu, and all over the modes. Speaking of modes, there are over 6 in this game, so let's cover each and every one of them separately and give my final opinions in the end. First, we have Standard Tetris, which is my favorite mode because I just think it's done at the best out of any of the Tetris games, period. There's also the hard drop silhouettes, and holding Tetraminos, which are all great things to have. Each level covers a separate game with a semi-3D model of the pixel character that spins when you clear lines. There's also a display of that specific game at the top that progresses when you clear more lines. This is super cool, and combined with the game's amazing remixes of the songs that play in the background, this is extremely charming. Mission mode has to be my second favorite mode of this entire game. In format, it is similar to the first single-player marathon mode, but as implied, there are a lot of missions. You have a few hearts that slowly deplete, and you have to complete missions to bring those hearts back up. Most of these missions have you clear a certain number of lines, or clear lines with a specific piece. If your heart meter fully depletes, then a lot of garbage lines will appear, and then you'll get your hearts back. But now it will be much easier to get a game over. The longer you go for, the harder it gets. This mode also focuses on The Legend of Zelda at first, which makes a lot of sense since that game is all about quests, exploration, and missions, which is a nice touch. I really like this mode, and that's why it's probably my second favorite. This is Catch mode, and it's probably one of my least favorite of all the modes, but it's still pretty good. This mode is focused on Metroid and Samus, which I don't really get, but okay. There is one unit that flies upwards, and you can drop blocks onto it. You can rotate the entire thing 90 degrees, and it's a pretty simple mode. I don't like it too much, but I understand why this could seem really fun. It seems pretty interesting for a game like Tetris, and I'm glad they're at least trying to innovate it. I find this mode a pretty interesting novelty just on its own, but I see why other people could enjoy this quite well. Now we have Push mode, which is a great mode in my opinion. That isn't really talked about much when this game is talked about. In this mode, you either fight a CPU or another player, and you both place your lines in one pit with opposite gravity. As you clear lines, the line clump will be pushed down depending on how many lines are cleared. Once the clump goes behind the danger line, you will lose. The fact that the pits are combined with opposite gravity makes placing pieces much harder, as some of them can fall into the void. This is especially apparent with the 4x1 cyan pieces, which are usually used to get Tetrises, but it's because of this game mode it makes that a lot harder, which I think is a nice challenge. This game is also based off of the original Donkey Kong, and it was a really good choice to include it and all the sound effects, and the music really embraces the theme well. Now we have Puzzle mode, which is based off of Yoshi's Cookie. I actually really like this mode. Instead of just doing the standard Tetris gameplay, you instead decide which blocks to place first and what orientation you do it, so that in one perfect swoosh you can successfully clear every single line. There's a lot of levels to this, and it's actually very engaging. I really like this mode, and it's one you can easily replay at any time. Also, the music and just overall theme just makes you feel nice inside. Touch mode makes use of the DS's touchscreen for a pretty interesting mode. There's basically a massive tower of blocks that you need to clear out, and the amount of time it takes really just depends on your skill. You can slide around blocks and rotate them, and this makes for some pretty engaging and thinkative ways in order to make lines and slide around the different blocks. It does take a while, and the more levels you get, the more harder and taller the tower becomes. On levels 4 and 5, you can't even rotate the blocks. This makes it extremely challenging, but I kind of like it. This is something that most games would probably take advantage of. Now that we're done covering all the modes, it's time to give my final thoughts. Tetris DS is an amazing game. I'm surprised that they put this much care and soul into the game. This is not your everyday DS game. It has plenty of modes. It even has Wi-Fi, which I didn't even tell you guys about. On top of plenty more features such as being able to play all the songs or more extras in the extras menu and settings, there's just a lot of fun to this game, and I think it has a lot of charm. I really like this game. It might not be the best DS game known to mankind, but I heavily recommend you guys either get it on a flash cart, get the actual thing, or just run it on an emulator. Trust me, you'll have a blast. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. I know it took a while for this one to come out, but I've been just taking a little break recently, but don't worry, I'll be back to regular video upload scheduling soon.